Right then. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Ready to make some money in the markets. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. Had a well-deserved break, as well as journaling, as reviewing your journal as well. That needs to be done weekly, if not monthly. But yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are we all doing? Don't forget to like the stream before we get started, guys. If you're new here, I trade live at 2:30 p.m. BST for New York Open every single weekday, unless I say otherwise. That is the Open of New York session every single weekday. Okay? That's that. Now, about the streams, they will be pausing for a little bit later in November for my birthday, as I'm going to Florida. Now, that will only be for a few days whilst I'm traveling. We'll get into that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But, afternoon, Dan. How we doing? Good morning, Faith. Good morning, Cards. Good day, Phoenix. How you doing? So, yeah, like up the stream, guys. We're going to get started right now on the fundamentals. So, fundamentally, nothing. It's a no news Monday. Pretty slow. Means we're not really going to get much of a move. Not the usual moves, not the usual volume either. Very indecisive, very volatile, very messy markets when there's no news, typically. Now, looking at the week as a whole, very quickly, there is red news tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And there's quite a bit of PMI on Thursday, if you remember this from last month, all that lovely stuff. Then daylight saving time shift at the end of this week. So I think if you're in the UK, the times will be slightly different for the streams. I think it will move to 1:30. But as I said, we will cross those bridges when we get to them. Fundamentally, Monday, nothing to worry about. But also, because there's nothing to worry about, it's a little bit messy. So, starting off on GJ, on the weekly time frame, on the daily time frame. We'll go to the weekly time frame now. If you haven't seen the market outlook yet, I want you to go and watch that after this stream. It's for free. It's in the Discord. It's on the YouTube. I've started posting them on YouTube now rather than just keeping them unlisted. So you can go back and look at all of them. But I also do notifications for when I post them daily, every single night at like 11 p.m. BST, as well as the free stream. So on the weekly time frame, you can see we still are inside of the weekly fair value gap. This time last week, what did I want to see? I wanted to see this candle here. If we can just draw around this. I wanted to see this candle closing bearish. I wanted to see a nice bearish engulfing candlestick, which finishes off this manipulation move with a nice candlestick pattern inside the fair value gap, coming to the bottom of the accumulation range on the weekly time frame, as you can see there. And as you can see by the weekly candle, we did not close bearish, which means we have lost a confluence there. We also lost a confluence by taking liquidity and a bunch of other stuff as well. It's not my birthday today, don't worry. It's on the 11th of November. On the 13th or on the 14th is when I'm flying to Florida for 2 weeks. So I think the whole week of the 11th, because the 11th is also a US bank holiday, so the whole week of the 11th I will not be live. But then I'll be going live again from I don't know what day, like the 18th or something like that. So there'll be a slight week off in November. That's just for my birthday and stuff like that. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The weekly candle, the weekly time frame, what is it telling us? So it is saying that we are still in that manipulation phase on the weekly time frame. We still have that manipulation move going down, which means, well, it's going up, but, it's taking place. It's going down. So that means we can still continue higher until we form that candlestick pattern, which is up, sideways, down, just like this, evening star. That's what we wanted to see here. We did not get that. Until we get that, we cannot say that this is going to be the end of the manipulation. So we could still move up higher. We can still move up higher. That's what the weekly is saying to us. We can still continue higher. On the daily, it is saying the same thing, because if you remember this talk from last week, guys, I did specifically say that I wanted this to be the manipulation move on the daily time frame, and it wasn't. Why wasn't it? Well, we did come up and take it, as you can see. That's where I took my perfect entry. We came up and we did take the liquidity, granted, but it's not my birthday yet, guys. It's not my birthday yet, but thank you. we did come up and take this liquidity, but we did not close. And as you know, manipulation is the close. When we close outside this range, that is the manipulation. We like to see liquidity sweeps for our manipulation and nothing else, which means we want to close outside of this range if we're going to have a manipulation to the upside. Now, that contradicts the trade that I'm in, because what I'm looking for is a move right down to the bottom of the accumulation range on the weekly time frame. So we would have to get an accumulation distribution on the daily time frame, which is not what I want to see. We would like to see a manipulation to the upside with a distribution to the downside, which means we would have to close outside of this range yet. So what I'm saying is, the trade I got in was perfect. It was beautiful. I have also closed half of that position when we inverted the 4-hour, which we'll get into in a minute. But I think the move as a whole is great, and it can still definitely happen. And to actually get more confluence for it to happen, we still need to continue up first. So we'd need to continue up to get a stronger confluence for a move down, even though we're already in a trade for a sell. Does that make sense? And that is because we did not close outside the accumulation range on the daily time frame, and we'd like to see a manipulation. Now, in terms of manipulation on the daily, now there is this up here, there is this fair value gap, which I think a few people were trying to correct me about, but I am not targeting that, because if we're to go to that level, if we're going to come up here, we will be inverting the monthly time frame. We will be inverting the monthly fair value gap. On the monthly fair value gap, we've got 10 days left, so we could come up and come back down, but the likelihood that we do that, because we'll be inverting the weekly, we'll be inverting the monthly, and there'll also be a few 4 hours as well, I'm assuming, but we'll be inverting a lot of higher time frame fair value gaps. And as you know, higher time frame trumps lower time frame, so we're not technically looking for a move all the way up to this fair value gap for this manipulation. I would literally just look for a close outside this range, a liquidity sweep on this area, which would also be coming back to this up here. We come up, take that, then close and get that candlestick pattern which I was talking about. Once we get that candlestick pattern, we can then confidently take sells, because we'll be closing outside of the accumulation range on the daily, which is perfect, and we'll also have a 4-hour or a daily candlestick pattern, which is respecting the weekly and the monthly fair value gap in the premium zones of those fair value gaps. So what I'm saying is, in short, it's a win-win, really. We either lose the trade and I break even, but I guaranteed 1%, which is fine, and we then continue down to catch the sells anyway, or we don't do any of that and we just head down anyway and I win a lot of money. So it is literally a win-win from here, guys. But to get a perfect entry, to have a stronger confluence for the move down, we would actually need to see a move up, close, get this candlestick pattern, and then take a sell. But I am break even on this trade. I secured 0.5% on AUD USD, and I secured 1% on this trade. So if worst comes to worst and both of these trades lose or get hit break even, I'm still up 1.5%. So it's like, minus commissions, is probably at least 1%, which is fine by me, because last week we made 2.5. You know, it's all good from here, really. It's literally a win-win scenario. Thank you, guys. It's not my birthday, as I said, but thank you. I appreciate the appreciate the birthday wishes, whatever you want to call them. Make sure you're liking up the stream, guys. It does really help, by the way. If you're new here, I'm live every single day at 2:30 p.m. BST doing this analysis. Now, because we're still accumulating on the daily, we are also still accumulating on the 4-hour, which means we're looking for a close outside here. Once we get a close outside here on the 4-hour, on the daily, candlestick pattern, move to the downside. It's literally all the same stuff. On the daily, we have, on the 1-hour time frame, we have a nice manipulation, which looks like it's taking place. Let me just get rid of all these scribbles. We got a nice accumulation that's starting to take place here, as you can see. So we could pair this with a manipulation to the upside as well on the daily. We'll see what happens there. But you know, if we do come up and take this and get break even, we really can take a re-entry when we get a candlestick pattern on the daily. And if we don't do any of that and we just go down, it's great for me. And if we go up and don't form these candlestick patterns, it's still great for me, because I've still made 1%. So I'm in a really good position here, very good position. We're in a trade, even though we're expecting it to go wrong technically. If it does go wrong, that's right for us, and if it doesn't go wrong, it's still right for us. It's literally a win-win. But 1 hour time frame saying an accumulation, 30 minutes saying pretty much the same thing. 15-minute had a nice accumulation distribution here. I know a few people were looking at shorts around this fair value gap, and they didn't take it because we did not form a candlestick pattern, and that is the definition of patience and discipline. Textbook stuff, but it's really good to see. Now, looking at this, we have a fair value gap here, which we're looking like we're respecting. Although if we go to the 4 hour time frame, you can see that we have kind of disrespected this one here. We'll have to see how this candle closes. If this candle closes, the one that's open now with 3 hours and 20 minutes, if it closes bearish, we have a nice potential move to the downside. If it closes bullish, we've inverted this fair value gap, and you can expect price to go up. As I'm in a sell position, I am not going to be taking a buy position. I'm just going to let this play out. And as I've also said, I'm on a trade on AUD USD, which we're going to get into right now. But before we do that, let me just say this one thing. So the weekly is saying we can still continue higher as we are still in that bullish manipulation phase. The daily hasn't manipulated yet, so if we want to see a move to the downside, what we will have to see is a manipulation to the upside. The 4 hour, same thing. 1 hour is starting to accumulate. So, if this starts manipulating or starts going up, we can pair that with the daily, with the 4 hour and all that stuff. We'll probably have a few cycles before we get the candlestick pattern, as we're looking for a candlestick pattern on the 4 hour and the daily, but it is what it is. 30-minute, pretty much the same thing. 15-minute has started accumulating here, and as you can see, we have got a manipulation on the 15-minute here, so we may expect price to come to the other side of this accumulation range, at least after respecting this fair value gap. I'm not taking this as I'm already in a sell position, but if I just draw this out for you now, you should be able to see it a little bit clearer. We've got a nice fair value gap to the left-hand side, which hasn't been respected yet. We've filled that imbalance, rejected off it nicely. If we go to the 5-minute time frame, we haven't got any candlestick patterns, so we shouldn't take the trade anyway. But there's a nice sell position lining up right here for anyone who wants to take this. We don't have a candlestick pattern though, so I wouldn't personally take it. But looks good to come to the other side of this range if we get that candlestick pattern at some point. If we do that, then that will probably be a manipulation to the downside on the 1 hour time frame, which means we can then actually catch a buy up to this liquidity on the 1 hour time frame. So we'll have to see how this goes, but that's my analysis on GBP JPY. I hope that makes sense. As I said in the market outlook, it can go either way, and it really can. AUD USD, probably got tuck break even on this. Nope, haven't got tuck break even just yet. Still floating around in some profits, but it's very messy now. Very, very messy. Not much else to say other than I'm still expecting this move to the upside. It is what it is. We may end up distributing to the downside, but I'm in a break-even position now. I've even secured like 0.5% in profits here, just under 0.5%, I think it is. Like 1, 2, be like, I don't know, like 220 or 190, something like that. But we've secured some profits after commissions. Will be nice. And I'm still expecting that move to the upside. As I said, we've got a few confluences saying we're, not really that bullish anymore. But we've also got potentially a few confluences to suggest we might get a move up. If we go to the 1 hour time frame, first of all, there's the fair value gap that we've just tapped into and respected. If we go to the 1 hour time frame, there's a nice candlestick pattern inside of this fair value gap here. After we started accumulating over here, I hope this makes sense. There's a lot of boxes here, guys, but I hope this makes sense to you. Got a nice accumulation here, manipulation into this 1 hour fair value gap, tapping into the 4 hour, forming a nice 1 hour candlestick pattern, morning star, which is bullish, aligns with the fair value gap, aligns with the manipulation. So we could get a nice move to the upside, at least to here, which would be very nice to see, because then that'll be new higher profits for me. So you could end up, you could take a buy here now, really, if you want to. If you want to catch this with me, now would be the time. GBP USD, what's going on here? Exactly what we expected, I think, although we have started retracing again. You see, I think I put these two pairs together because someone was asking me for this on Friday, but it's literally the same thing. Like, look at this, and then look at GU. It's near enough exactly the same thing. Probably a bigger consolidation here, not much of a manipulation here, but it's literally the exact same thing. Bitcoin, that's the distribution of Bitcoin. We've got a nice distribution move right here. As you can see, we've got a very clean accumulation, very clean manipulation. I don't think we came into any sort of fair value gap though. And obviously we have took the other side of the accumulation range, which means we have finished the distribution. We've also took this IRL right here. So we would expect a slight bullish retracement sometime soon. We can get rid of all this now. We don't necessarily need all of this. Externally, it looks like this is the manipulation phase. So we could even come down all the way back to the bottom of this accumulation range. We'll have to see what happens. There's this fair value gap in the way, which we're going to keep. This line we don't need. Go to the weekly. Let's see what the weekly is saying. The weekly is not saying that's manipulation. The 4 hour, or let's check the daily. The daily is saying that. We have took this liquidity over here. We haven't necessarily got a bullish retracement just yet off of that, a bearish retracement just yet off of that. So we may expect price to come all the way down to here, really. Maybe coming into this daily fair value gap. We'll have to see how that goes. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to place that there. So at that daily fair value gap to look at, got this bullish, this buy side liquidity, which we need a bearish retracement off of. We have just took sell side liquidity IRL, so we would get a nice bullish retracement before continuing down. AMD 15-minute looks like it's manipulating to the downside, so we may expect a distribution, which makes sense pairing it with this sell side liquidity. So we may end up getting accumulation, manipulation to the downside, distribution to the upside, and then that would be the 1 hour retracement, and then we can continue the move to the downside. Bit messy, might be a bit too much to digest there, but it makes perfect sense to get a move to the downside. Gold, what's gold saying? Gold has been extremely bullish still today, pushing up new highs, 2.7k an ounce, which is absolutely mental. I remember like this time last year, it was only 1.7, maybe, I think, maybe a bit less, or maybe a bit more, but very, very massive gains on gold. Let's see what it was this time last year. Yeah, 1.8, 1.9 this time last year, pushing up and up and up. If you want to catch, don't try and catch this move now you've missed it. Just wait for an accumulation again, and then you can look for, you can look for your positions. USD JPY, messy as fuck, but we have got this accumulation, manipulation, and obviously distribution. Now we're starting to accumulate, which looks like it's going to happen on the 4 hour, definitely. We've started accumulating on the 4 hour, which is perfect for anyone who wants to trade this. All you'd have to do really is wait for a nice manipulation into this fair value gap up here. Maybe one to the downside if you're bullish. I'm overall bearish though. So we come up, take a manipulation, then have a nice candlestick pattern. Boom, melt to downside. Simple as. Platinum, I'm not going to look at that. It's, I don't think anyone else here trades it. GBP Swiss franc, that's the distribution move finished, and we are looking like we're in the X phase. If you want to catch another move on this, you just wait for that accumulation. Externally, it does look like we are starting to accumulate, or we have been in accumulation for a while. If we just draw this out now, you can see that pretty clearly, which makes sense because GBP is accumulating and GBP Swiss franc is accumulating, and JPY on USD JPY is also accumulating, which is probably why we're getting such a strong accumulation on the GBP JPY, because it's both pairs, not just one. USD CAD pushing up. I was hoping this was an accumulation, but it wasn't. We've just been pushing up. We got to wait for the accumulation if you want to catch it and move. Next, NASDAQ, what's going on here? I said to wait for this accumulation to the guy who asked me for this the other day. We've got that accumulation now, so now we can look for areas to manipulate into. Where can we manipulate into? Let's go to the daily time frame and see what's going on. There is not much in terms of fair value gaps and stuff like that on this time frame. If we go to the weekly, same thing again. Not really much to look out for here. There is this weekly fair value gap though, which I think we may have come into. That's not enough really. Let's see what the 1 hour says. 1 hour, very messy again. So what you'd want to see is preferably price coming into this. This is the safest bet. Price coming into this weekly fair value gap, taking out this liquidity over here, forming a nice candlestick pattern, and then, you know, boom, to the other side of the accumulation range. That's what I'd want to see. That would be best case scenario. We're going to leave that there so that we can refer back to it tomorrow, seeing how the analysis gets on. GBP JPY looks like it is trying to push up still, and we'll see how that goes. AUD USD doing its thing. GU, gonna delete GU. Bitcoin melting to the downside, will probably continue further. Gold, just wait for that accumulation. USD JPY, wait for that manipulation. GBP Swiss franc, wait for that accumulation. USD CAD, wait for the accumulation. Nasdaq minis or Nasdaq, wait for the manipulation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that there, and all these pairs we can just kind of drag down here, just because these are the pairs that, you know, setups are looking nice on, and these are the pairs that aren't really looking too great. But that's what I'm seeing. I don't really have anything else to share with you guys. Like, if we end up getting took out break even, it is what it is. As I said, it's literally a win all around. Where it either goes up and continues going up, and we've not lost. It either goes up and we form a candlestick pattern and we hit break even, securing 1%, and then we can get another entry. Or it doesn't do either of those things and just melts to the downside, and then we have a nice winning trade. But that's all I've got to share, guys. Like, there's literally nothing else in this. If you like the stream up, guys. It really does help me out. I'm live every single day at 2:30 p.m. BST. Join the free Discord server where there's a free course and free daily market outlooks every single day at 11 p.m. BST. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you like up the stream, guys. It really does help me out. And that's literally all I've got to share for today. We've just got to see what happens today, and we can get a better expectation for the week once this day has closed, because one, this day is no red folder, and two, it's kind of like the make or break for this trade. So we either continue down, or we go up and hit break even, then we can start looking for a re-entry, or we continue down and then we can start, you know, building up that confidence for the move to the downside. We have to play it by ear. A little bit too early to say what's going on. We'll have to see how today closes. So look forward to the market outlook for tonight. But that's all I've got to share for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a lovely rest of your day. As always, if you're going to take any trades, make sure it matches your plan. If it doesn't match your plan, have the patience to not take it, as well as the discipline to not take it. Make sure you're risking appropriate amounts, nothing too stupid. Make sure you're trading with a bias. And yeah, that's all I've got to say today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.